Okay, in this example, we're going to go over how to create a strategy, just an example strategy, using the complete volume pump strategy. And once you have it open, um, first thing you'll want to do, so for this to actually make trades appear, you're going to have to set an initial stop loss and a take profit. So you can just set those to be really wide. So you're going to go to show stop level, use stop loss, and maybe just start off like 1,000 stop loss. We'll change this later, but we're just putting this to make this work. And we're also going to use take profit, and then maybe you do like 1,000% from entry. Okay, so now this will give us a way for the trades to exit, because they can't just exit based on volume alone or price action alone. We're going to need to have some other way to exit. So now that we have those extreme values set up, which we'll come back and change later, now we can actually start looking for some conditions. So if you wanted to look for some volume based strategies, let's say you're looking for something, you wanted to see big areas of big volume. So we could maybe move the moving average down a little to be a little more responsive to a shorter setting like 20. And let's say you want to look for any time volume was 500% above the volume moving average. So you actually only found one trade in Amazon on this hour chart doing that. Let's see where we took that trade at. Okay, so it was actually right here was the criteria where we found that, and we entered the trade. Let's bring that down a little bit just so we can get more trades like that. So let's go to 50%. And what I'm going to do now is actually change the take profit. I'm going to use something a little more dynamic, maybe like the average true range for take profit. I'm going to put this to a 10. That way we get more trade entries, just so you can see the kind of things we can do with this. This is just an example, not an actual strategy I would make, but just showing you how it works. So now that we moved the use percent volume from MA, we had it at 500. So we had an entry here, exit here, we re-entered here, exit here, another entry here. So it's just looking, right now we're just looking for anytime volumes 500% above the volume moving average. So if you wanted to dial that in a little more, you could maybe try smaller percents here. You could use percent below volume moving average if you're looking for times where maybe there's not a whole lot of buyers. This number, by the way, can never be below 100, because that would mean there's no volume. So this number can be anything above 0, but this can only go up to 100. Otherwise, you can't have 200% volume below volume MA. Otherwise, there'd be no volume. So hopefully that makes sense. And these have all been explained in previous videos, but basically you probably would want to use something like this the majority of the time, using for percentage above the volume moving average, above or below. This is only if you're looking for specific patterns of volume. You have rising or declining volume, and then also volume that's above your last bars or below your last bars. So this can really help you to filter more trades, but generally you want to start off kind of broad by using this up here, percent volume above or below volume MA. Using percent volume above will give you a little more broad use. And again, you could use even this, looking for specific volume in a certain amount of bars if you want to hone down very specific situations. Now you can combine, so these are the volume controls. Now that we have just a basic volume control on right now, we want to get in a little more specific, maybe add some price action controls, maybe look for bars. So now that we're looking for volume to be 50% above the volume moving average. If we also want to find bars at the same time that are also okay, price action controls, maybe the top 10% of the bar at the same time, we can do that. We can combine. So there we go. Now we're finding bars that also meet that criteria at the same time. That actually filtered out 3 trades for us. A little less profitable. What if we went to maybe just the top 1% of bar? Less trades, a little less profitable though. But you can experiment around with this and try it out. High goes higher. We've explained what this does before, but to use that in conjunction, and you can see how that maybe made it a little more profitable. $1.5 maybe. And you can just look for different situations. Percent rising. There's no conditions that met that. That's too much percent in price. Let's try maybe a 1% in price over the last 3 bars. There you go. Only one trade that met that. Liquidity controls we explained in another video in the settings. That's if you're looking for something very specific. Now we have some price action. We have the top. I take that off. Okay, let's turn that back on for a second. So we have top 30% of the bar, and we're looking for volume above 50%, above the volume moving average. We could also throw in breakouts here. So if we want to find any bars or candles that have broken out above the previous 50 candles, we can look for all-time high. So now all 3 of these conditions are being met. So we found a candle that broke out above the last 50 candles, that also closed in the top 30%, and also had 50% above the volume moving average. So you can see with all these different combinations together, you could literally find any kind of combination where you can really filter your breakouts, or you can filter out your price action, or filter out your volume controls based on what you're looking for. And you can even filter it out even further with some main entry filters. So let's say we want to just only take these trades if they're above a 21 EMA, for example. We can filter that out. Or 100 EMA. You also can look for average true range increases or decreases, or being above or below a certain percent. Your market regime filters, we covered in a different settings video, but if you want to look for very specific bullish or bearish or even sideways spark conditions, you can do that. So let's throw some on here, for example, something above. Let's look for bullish conditions only and only allow us to enter on those. If I change this to something bearish, for example, you're going to see that results probably get a lot worse. Yeah, a lot worse. These are very bearish conditions. So that's how you can use this to filter out your trades even more. You have 2 market regime filters. Connor's RSI controls your Connor's RSI stop loss and Connor's RSI take profit. You can delay entry on your entries if you want. Sometimes that can give you some better results. You can see down here. That's something to test and work with. If you want to add a stop loss, so now we can change our stop loss to maybe something more realistic. Maybe a 3% stop loss, or 2% stop loss. And you'll see how it changes your strategy down here, but you can just try different settings and see what works well for you. I like changing this on the style. What is this one? Yes. I like changing the color and the length of it. Makes it a little better visually for me to see the stop loss on there. But you can do whatever you want with that. Okay, so now we looked at stop loss. If we want to add an average true range stop loss instead of a fixed stop loss, we can do that. Do something 27, maybe like a 5 ATR. There we go, there's stop loss on there. We can use a trailing stop on there if we want. We can use an average true range trailing stop. Too much there, so I meant to do 3 or 4. There we go. We want to move stop loss to break even. After it gets some profit, we can do that. We want to add in the Connor's RSI initial stop loss. We can add that in at the same time as having our stop loss over here and our trailing stop. Whatever happens first is how we'll be exited. If we want to have a take profit, we can use either the Keltner channel or Bollinger Bands as exits if we want. Let's use an indicator player. We got to put that up a little more, maybe a 5. You'll see how that showed up on the screen there. So whenever it exits this Keltner channel or Bollinger Band, we'll have a trade exit. So you could use that by itself, or you can use that with a percentage from entry or an average true range take profit. Whatever happens first is how you'll be exited. Same thing with your Connor's RSI. So any of these that you want to use, you must have take profit selected. This show take profit indicators only for this section, which controls the Bollinger Band and Keltner channels. And same thing with use take profit indicators only for this section, which controls Keltner channel and Bollinger Bands. If you want to use percentage from entry, you just click on here. If you want to use ATR take profit, click on there. You can have all of these at the same time. Whatever happens first is how you'll be taken out of the trade. Same thing with Connor's RSI. And then if you want to maybe filter out your trades even more, you have some entry filters. So let's say you only want to take trades that are above a certain RSI. So maybe on a short-term RSI, we want to take trades that are above 70 and filter some trades out. I didn't want to go higher. So that made results worse. You'll have to test and see what works well for the strategy you're using. You can do above or below. And try different filter options. You can do the same thing with stochastics. And you see how it works. Try to filter some trades out. See if you can get more profitable profit factors and better drawdowns with more profit and less risk. Same thing with your EMA if you want to take trades above or below a certain EMA amount. Now you already have one up here, but this gives you an additional one. So you could have maybe one on a higher time frame and one on a lower time frame. And then we give you another entry filter. That way, if you want to use this again as a faster period, and maybe this is a longer time frame, you can do that. And then you have exit filters. So if you want to stay in trades longer and maybe not exit. So say, for example, your RSI it goes above 95. You don't want to exit. You can see here how that actually made our strategy a lot better. It filtered out a lot of the trades and made us a lot more profitable with the exit filter. Because now we're not exiting as soon as it goes above 95, whereas before we were. So you can try out different things. You have a stochastics filter for the exit filter and also an EMA, and you have 2 of those. So you could use one as a short time period and one as a long time period. So that's just the very basics. You'll definitely have to experiment with different settings on different time frames, on different assets, and see what works well for you. You want to find something that makes you feel really comfortable with your profit, the amount of trades it takes, how many times it's profitable, your profit factor, and you have all kinds of performance summaries to look at in here and determine what works well for you and what kind of equity curve that you like too. So that is it for just a quick overview how to use the strategy. If you have any questions, send us an email. I'd be glad to help. Okay, thank you. Happy trading. Take care and enjoy.